Please be seated, ladies and gentlemen. The President and I'm going to have a few brief remarks in introducing the President. He's going to have some brief remarks, and then we'll have a chance to visit individually and have a chance to hear from you. I want to, first of all, acknowledge the presence of Senator Bob Kerrey and Representative Martin Frost and Governor Howard Dean, and we appreciate the leadership that the three of you provide and your participation here this evening. Of course, we're all greatly indebted to Roy Romer and Steve Grossman for the outstanding job that they're doing, and Alan Solomon, our finance chair, Dan Dutko, the Victory Fund chairman, Paul Danino, the finance director, and the others who are here. We're very, very grateful to all of you. In introducing the President, I just want to ask you to reflect for a moment on the news of the last 2 or 3 months. And I'd like you to think about the news about the economy, about the crime rate, about education, and the other improvements in our nation in the context of what you did to make the victory of President Clinton in the election campaign possible. Many of you have heard me say on several occasions that 4.5 years ago our country was in trouble. It's worth remembering that our deficits were nearly $300 billion, that our nation was in a triple-dip recession each time it tried to recover. The increased private borrowing ran headlong into the government financing, and the recovery stalled out, and it never really got off of its knees. Because you helped President Bill Clinton get elected, and because you helped him get reelected, our country's been following a profoundly different course. That came about because of you. And what's happened is nothing short of extraordinary. Fortune magazine wrote last month, not just as we've been saying that it's the best economy in a generation, they wrote it's the best economy in American history. Now, we can wait to see whether the statistics will ultimately justify that kind of description. But the statistics that we have presently available to us show a truly remarkable set of developments. 12.3 million new jobs. Within the last 2 weeks, the unemployment rate has dropped down to 4.8%, the lowest level in 24 years. At the same time that the inflation rate has remained at historic lows, the lowest inflation rate during this administration than in any administration since the early 1960s in President Kennedy's administration. The stock market has more than doubled, reaching all-time record highs several days every single week, and still inflation stays down. Wages have gone up in every income category. Real standards of living have gone up in every category. The gap between rich and poor, which had been widening for so long, causing despair for so many, has been closing up. We're moving forward because we've reduced the budget deficit 77%, and we're on the way to a balanced budget in a way that expands investment in education and fighting crime and protecting the environment, and investments in technology and science that produce more innovation and keep the economy going. We've also opened up new markets with 200 separate trade agreements so that we're selling our goods all around the world in record quantities with exports at all-time record levels. And the investments are paying off. A couple of other quick statistics. I've focused on the economy because that's the basis for the progress that we make in these other areas. You notice the statistics on crime? The sharpest, largest one-year drop in violent crime rates in 35 years. We've seen crime go down in every category all across the nation. Why? Because under President Clinton's plan, we've been investing in the program to put 100,000 extra police officers on the street, community police officers, getting a lot of the guns and assault weapons off the streets, giving positive alternatives to the young people in the communities where they need these alternatives. And education, you saw the news this week. Since we have adopted President Clinton's standards-based approach to education, already the signs are there of a dramatic turnaround. The fourth graders in the United States on the recently completed third international math and science test scored right at the top, right along with Korea and Japan, and way above in science and way above average in math, because we're investing more and we're taking a more sensible approach. Now, the other party said that the economic plan wouldn't work. We had to fight to get it in place. And you made it possible. When they said it wouldn't work, they turned out to be dead wrong. They said the crime bill wouldn't work. We had to fight, and you helped us win. And they turned out to be dead wrong. They said the education approach wouldn't work. We had to fight for it, and you helped us win. And their predictions turned out to be dead wrong. We make our decisions about the future in this great representative democracy in a form of intellectual and political combat. We put our ideas up against their ideas. The person who's been leading us with his ideas has proven that his ideas work. And you've been there to make sure that we won the battles, and make no mistake that the battles are still there. Just look this week at the composition of the bill in the Ways and Means Committee and the Finance Committee. Are we going to invest in education or not? Look at the battle over the supplemental. Are we going to play political games and hold people hostage or not? And more battles are yet to come. We need you, as you helped us win these last battles, to help us win the ones that are yet to come, so that this blueprint that this president has put into effect will continue producing the tremendously positive results for America. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you the architect of this plan, the leader of our country, and the leader of the Democratic Party, President Bill Clinton.
Thank you. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you very much. Let me say to all of you how very grateful I am for your presence and for your support. I appreciate what the Vice President has said, and I associate myself with his remarks. I think that's what they say in the Congress. I would just like to make two very brief points. First of all, the country is in better shape than it was 4.5 years ago. It is a direct consequence, in my view, of the hard work of the American people, combined with the policies and the changes which have been instituted here. I want you to know that my plan is to keep working on this till the last day I'm in office. And as far as I'm concerned, all these good things that have happened are not constant unless they can be sustained. So that we still have to put the meat on the bones of the balanced budget agreement. In the abstract, it is a very good agreement because it contains an investment strategy for education, for science and technology, for the environment we can be proud of, and it will balance the budget with conservative estimates. But we have to put the meat on the bones. I'm proud of the fact that we've had the biggest drop in crime in 36 years, but juvenile violence is still way too high, and we have to put the meat on the bones. We have a lot more to do there. I'm proud of the fact that we've had the biggest drop in welfare in history by far, but we still got to make sure when all those people run out of their welfare checks, they can go to work, and we've got to put the meat on the bones. I'm proud of the fact that this budget agreement restores what I thought were unconscionable cuts and benefits to legal immigrants, but we still got to put the meat on the bones in terms of the details of the legislation. So there's a lot to be done here. In the world, I'm gratified by the agreements we've reached with Russia on the NATO-Russian partnership and reducing the nuclear tensions between us, and the meeting that will occur in a few weeks in Madrid to expand NATO. But I'm troubled that we have not completed the Bosnian peace process. We've got a long way to go there. I'm troubled at the stagnation of the peace process in the Middle East. There's a lot of things that this administration has done that cannot be sustained unless we all keep working and moving forward. And the second point I would like to make to you is a more abstract one, but I hope you can take some pleasure in it. I really believed in 1991 and 1992, when I went around and asked so many of you to help me run for president, that we had to modernize the approach of the Democratic Party consistent with our values, that we had to take a new approach, but it had to be rooted in our values. There was nothing wrong with our values, but we had to be relevant and effective in the modern world. We had to prove that we were capable of producing a strong defense, a credible foreign policy, a disciplined management of the economy, particularly on fiscal matters. And they had to prove that you could cut the deficit and invest in America's future at the same time. We had to prove that we could be for high standards of personal responsibility in the criminal justice and welfare system and still believe that we should be an inclusive nation where everybody should have a fair chance. We had to prove you could grow the economy and preserve the environment. We had to take a different position. And when I was in Europe recently and I was doing this press conference with the new Prime Minister of Great Britain, Tony Blair, who was, as you know, has been subject to almost savage criticism from time to time for having adopted ideas similar to mine. The only people that like it seem to be the people over there. The voters thought it was all right. I had the feeling for the very first time that the people in the press who were asking us questions really believed that we might have changed the country as well and our political party, and that there was some organized, principled direction to this. And I've been working on this long before I even thought I would run for president, for a good 10 years or more now. And I think that once we believe that we not only have good results, but we know we're on a course that will work and we can expect it to keep working with sustained effort, that is the beginning of real hope. Because then you don't have to see the gains evaporate when elections change things, or when term limits come up, or when momentary difficulties come up, in the economy or other problems. And so I would ask you to keep that in mind. I believe you have helped to contribute to a profound, almost revolutionary, positive change in the direction of our country because you helped to revitalize the party that we're all proud to be a part of. And I hope you will never forget that. And I had the feeling for the very first time that a lot of those who interpret us to the rest of the country and the world were coming to that understanding because I was standing there with the new Prime Minister of Great Britain and we were saying the same things, and we just left the Prime Minister of the Netherlands and he said the same things, and because they came along after the '92 election and had also seemed to get quite satisfactory results in their own country. So you were also part of changing the world, and for that I am very, very grateful. Thank you.